Magneto. There's a movement and action feeling about him that draws me to him. I would be really, really, really happy to join the Marvel Universe in some shape or form. It'd be an honor. Posted. Put it together.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. New footage of Giancarlo Esposito from Captain America 4 was just spotted during the reshoots they're doing for the movie. He explained what's going on with his character. I know there's tons of questions, speculation about how he's tied to the upcoming X-Men, mutant-based storyline, the movies they're working on. He's mentioned several major characters in the MCU that he's liked to play during the past couple of years, but I think we've figured out the truth about all of them and which ones he's actually playing. So we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We're also doing that Deadpool and Wolverine ticket giveaway. I'll explain that at the end of the video. But the brand new footage of Giancarlo Esposito comes just this past day as of me posting this video, like he just hit the set and started filming his scenes. This is meant to be from the reshoots that they're doing for the movie. There's about 22 days worth of reshoots. There's been a lot of news about that just because they changed so much of the movie behind the scenes after they'd already filmed it. Like, let's get rid of a lot of this stuff, a lot of these characters. There's like a whole villain subplot that they seemingly removed. They added a bunch of new action scenes and changed a bunch of action scenes, added some new characters, and that's what they're filming right now, all that new stuff. Giancarlo Esposito's character was added very late in the process, and because of the reshoots, I think he's meant to replace one of the previous villains in the movie. Like, there's a new story that they introduced to the film, and he's part of that new story. Zoom in and enhance on him here, you see he has 3 knives on his chest, an axe, and he's wearing a dark trench coat with a yellow lining. Nick Fury would be proud. Trenchcoat Game recognizes Trenchcoat Game. So it's likely that he's playing someone who does not have any powers. He's not a mutant or enhanced somehow, even though there are a lot of X-Men related Easter eggs in the movie. He even looks a little bit like the Scourge character in the comics, whose evil group does have ties to Captain America, the Avengers, Henry Gyrick, who I know a lot of people are making theories about, the Trask character, all this upcoming X-Men Sentinel-based plot. Don't worry, I'll explain all the theories and which ones I actually think are more correct. Hollywood Reporter reported per official Marvel sources, so this is actually an official character description, that he's playing a villain who's an agent of chaos during the events of the movie. He's not meant to be the main villain because the main villain is the leader character, Tim Blake Nelson, who's coming back as his version of the leader from the Incredible Hulk movie as a more comic book accurate version of the leader too. And even though Thunderbolt Ross will become Red Hulk during the movie and he's kind of an antagonist to Sam Wilson's Captain America, Thunderbolt Ross himself will not be a villain in the movie. Like, they're not going to be treating him as if he is one of the villains of the film. They dropped a trailer for the movie at CinemaCon, and when they were releasing that, Anthony Mackie actually said that in the film, when things pick up, Sam Wilson and Thunderbolt Ross actually have a pretty good working relationship. Like, they're not antagonistic towards each other or anything like that, at least at first. At a recent Fusion Comic-Con panel, Giancarlo Esposito said the MCU has knocked on his door and it's a role you won't predict. It will be teased and there will be a series afterwards, which sounds like a big spoiler. Like, he was definitely not supposed to say that his character would come back in a future TV series. When he says there will be a series afterwards, though, what he means is that his villain will return in a series. He's not saying that he's going to get his own series as the title character or even the main character. He's just going to come back in an upcoming TV series. I think we figured out which one that's going to be based on their release schedule in the next couple of years. He spent the last couple of years saying that he was talking to Marvel about roles. He wanted to play Magneto, Professor X. He even said recently he wanted to be the new Doctor Doom in the MCU. But based on his appearance in Captain America 4, like his character's costume, what they're doing in that movie just in general, I think we can rule out Magneto, Professor X, and Doctor Doom. We do know that Doctor Doom will appear in that upcoming Fantastic Four movie, but that mostly is meant to take place in another universe. It has been confirmed that by the end of that movie, that version of the team will survive and eventually make their way to the MCU and become the main MCU version of the Fantastic Four. And I believe that that version of Doctor Doom is also supposed to make it to the MCU with them eventually. So whoever they wind up casting for Doctor Doom in that Fantastic Four movie will be the MCU Doctor Doom going forward. That live-action X-Men movie that Marvel just started working on isn't supposed to release till after Secret Wars either, so that's several years away. That's a long ways off. Kind of rules out him playing any major X-Men characters. Then more recently, Giancarlo Esposito also revealed that he'd be playing a new and original character, and here's the thing, that usually means that it's someone who is not from the comics, that they created whole cloth just for the movie.
And I promise you it'll be Professor X, because here's what I think. I think that there's something about being original. We've seen different versions of Professor X. Wouldn't you like to see me play a character in a Marvel movie who is original and new and fresh? So, mark my words, this will happen sooner than you think.
So what could always be happening there is that Marvel wrote him into the new version of the movie during the reshoots and just used a fake name in that script. So when they cast him, they gave him the fake name, and when they eventually release the movie, they'll just change it behind the scenes, or nobody in the movie actually speaks the name or it appears on a form, and they just swap it out at the last minute so that it doesn't give away any spoilers. Most of you remember him as Gus Fring from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. He's also on The Boys as Stan Edgar. He was also in The Mandalorian. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni did pull a similar trick where they swapped a bunch of things and gave a bunch of fake scripts out when they were filming Luke Skywalker's cameo scenes. It got really weird, really tricky. They wrote the part in the script as a different character, so all the actors on the day thought that it would be Plo Koon showing up. Then all of a sudden in walks in Mark Hamill. They filmed the Luke Skywalker scenes, and it was all just to prevent spoilers. Marvel actually does go to great lengths like this, trying to mislead the actors so that they go into a movie thinking one thing when in actuality something else is going on. Probably the craziest they've gotten with something like that is during the filming of Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, because one, the movie changed on the day every single day, like the script changed so many different times, nobody was ever really sure what the actual final script would wind up being when they finished the edit. But also throughout filming, there were only about 3 different actors that actually got to read the entire script. Everybody else that worked on the movie, like every other actor, even major Avengers actors, only got the scenes that they were in. None of them knew what was happening in the other parts of the movie that their characters didn't appear in until the movie actually came out in theaters. That's probably what Marvel is doing with Giancarlo Esposito's character if they just wrote him in during the reshoots. Like, here's a couple pages for the scenes that you're in, like real quick, blink and you'll miss it kind of cameo scene. You're in a big action scene here. It looks like he's getting ready to film an action scene here because this is his stunt double next to him. So it would not be beyond Marvel to completely mislead him about what's going on with his character in the movie. Based on what he's said, and I think he's being honest, and based on what Marvel has officially said about his role in the film, I think they're pulling more of a Flag Smashers scenario, using his character to replace a storyline that normally would have ... gone to Sharon Carter's power broker as a quote-unquote agent of chaos element in the movie. There were a lot of solid moments during Falcon and Winter Soldier, but the Sharon Carter power broker twist just did not make sense. A couple years ago, before Marvel started making all these creative changes behind the scenes, trying to sort of fix a lot of their errors from Marvel Phase 4, Marvel Phase 5, the creative misfires that they've had, I think they'd originally planned on having a much bigger storyline for Sharon Carter. That post-credit scene made it sound like she was going to be really, really involved with the military and the US government. But when is the last time you have heard Marvel make a reference to that storyline in any of the movies, any of the TV shows, or even in any of the rumors behind the scenes? Like, I haven't even seen any rumors about Sharon Carter coming back. They just made a ton of changes to Captain America 4 after disastrous test screenings, so it sounds like they really wanted to punch the movie up, change a bunch of the action scenes, and punch up a bunch of the story too. So I think that's where Giancarlo Esposito comes in. Like, he's a super popular ringer of an actor, like he's an amazing actor and also really popular at the same time, who they're bringing in for a couple big action scenes with Anthony Mackie's Captain America character. And it sounds like whatever winds up happening, he escapes, and then his villain character just goes on to these other series. So I think he's not meant to be on screen that much. It's more of like a tease before he goes on to his TV series. And even though it would be totally cool to see him be a character like Gyrich or Trask, he doesn't resemble any of those characters remotely in the comics. And a lot of people thinking that he looks like Trask from X-Men 2 United, Brian Cox's version of the character. You have to remember that that's the Fox Marvel version of Trask. That's not Trask in the comics. In the comics, Trask is more of a straight-up scientist, more like the version that you saw during X-Men 97. And Giancarlo Esposito here looks nothing like that. The movie itself is confirmed to be more of a political thriller in the tone of Winter Soldier. So Winter Soldier, for instance, way more grounded of a movie, just does not seem like they would introduce all this crazy X-Men mutant-based plot in a movie that's meant to be grounded. Which is why I don't think that he's playing Gyrich or Trask or one of those really big X-Men characters or villains. There are some X-Men connections during the movie, like there are some Easter eggs they're setting up through the Adamantium subplot. But that's more of a Weapon X Wolverine Easter egg that they're setting up in the MCU, not as much of a straight-up X-Men Easter egg. During the CinemaCon footage, there's a scene of Sam Wilson meeting Thunderbolt Ross, who's congratulating him on a successful mission to Mexico where they rescued, quote unquote, or they yoinked some adamantium that was found at a dig site. A Japanese dig site, so it sounds like there's adamantium popping up all over the world, and the US is scrambling to try and grab every last bit of it that they can. That might have something to do with what Giancarlo Esposito's character is doing during the movie. If he's an agent of chaos, that just screams mercenary, so it's possible that he's also hired by someone to go after all this adamantium. Here's where we get to that series he said he'd be returning for. Next big stuff that's happening next year is Daredevil Born Again, which is totally possible he comes during that. If he does play a version of the Scourge character, for instance, Scourge's group was connected with Kingpin when he became mayor, which is happening during Daredevil Born Again. But because we haven't seen any scenes of Giancarlo Esposito filming Daredevil Born Again scenes, it doesn't seem like he's in the series. I've done a bunch of videos for all the footage we've gotten of that, mostly Punisher-related footage, which I know people are happy about. Really happy to see John Bernthal come back as Punisher. I'll link those below in the description. The other upcoming series that we know about that are most likely he would appear during is Ironheart, Wonder Man, Nova, in the Vision series. I did see a rumor that he would appear during Wonder Man. If that is true, it's possible that he's actually playing a version of Grim Reaper, who is the brother, Eric Williams, of Wonder Man. But because it seems like he's playing a more grounded character, and Wonder Man is meant to be a pretty crazy series, if he is playing that character, it might just be a version that Marvel changed so that he doesn't have any special powers. Just going back to what he actually said about the character, remember, he said that he was playing somebody new that you'd never seen before. He could have meant that somebody that the MCU has not done before, but is from the comics. So there's a lot of rumors out there, a lot of speculation about who he could play. Like I said, relatively small role in Captain America 4. Let me know in the comments, who do you actually think that he's playing if it's not going to be like a really big X-Men character? Really hoping that it doesn't wind up being like a Christian Bale, Gore the God Butcher situation. But everyone click here for that Captain America 4 trailer from CinemaCon, and click here for my brand new House of the Dragon Season 2 trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.